Well, what is up, Crazy X? Welcome to Good News Monday. First two things I want to talk about, not really necessarily good news, not like bad news, just kind of, I think, motivational, inspirational. Um, I saw this commercial the other day, and it's talking about how we're out of shape in our bodies and stuff like that. And the commercial went on to say that, it's not your fault. Okay, now maybe for like 1% of the population, that's true. There might be something medically wrong with you, some kind of complication, and it's not your fault. But for 99% of us, Dwayne Johnson is not Dwayne Johnson because I mean he is who he is because he spends like, gosh, what is it, like, he does an immense of workout, 2 to 4 hours workout. Like, he burns so many calories. It's insane. Mark Wahlberg is Mark Wahlberg because he gets up at 4 a.m. and hits the gym and does immense of cardio. I am how I am because I like cheeseburgers. I can't have cheeseburger. Uh, I mean, really, I think what we need to do, and this kind of goes off with the fact of too, like, everybody gets trophies now. Congratulations, here's your 8th place trophy. Well, how many other teams participated? Oh, well, there's 7. There's only 7 teams. How did you get an 8th place trophy? But we give everybody a trophy these days. Uh, you know, you are where you are because you choose to be there. You weigh what you weigh because you choose to weigh that. It sounds harsh, but it's also not. It's 100% your fault, which means you can 100% change. If it was just, it is what it is, you're stuck. You couldn't do anything. You're always going to be that way. But if you don't believe that lie, if you realize that you are where you are because you choose to be there, you can choose not to be there anymore. So don't listen to this victim mentality. No, you are where you are because you choose to be there. If you want to be somewhere else, you can be there. There's a song I love. It's by Sister Hazel, and it's called like "Change Your Mind." But I mean, yeah, if you don't like where you are, change your mind. Go somewhere else. You're not stuck. You're not a victim. You got the power. You know. So that's the first thing. The second one, kind of the same situation, is a story I read, and I like the story, and it's kind of a little bit the same thing. Um, so there's these 2 guys, and it's his two friends, and second guy's at his friend's house, and he can hear this dog softly moaning. So he asked the other guy, who's the owner of the dog, he's like, "Well, why is the dog whimpering?" And the owner said, "Oh, well, he's laying on a nail." So the friend's like, "Well, why doesn't he move?" And his friend replies, "I guess it doesn't hurt quite that much yet." And I think it goes along with that first story too. Why are you where you are? If you're not happy, I mean, if you're happy, don't change. Like, and that's the thing. I'm not saying you need to be muscle out, and if you're happy, you're happy. But if you're not happy, don't moan. Do something. This dog, it just doesn't hurt quite enough yet. It's funny that he's moaning though, because, well, why moan then? If you want to accept it. But don't stay and complain. You're not the victim. You can move. You can get up and move. So, I mean, those are the things I kind of want to start off with. But we got some good news. We do have some good news. Two stories. Um, while taking his sons out hunting, Luke Bryan sees a woman pull over to the side of the road with a blown tire in a dangerous area. So he hops out of the car to help. He's like, "Hey, you got to move this car. You're in a dangerous spot. I almost hit you." And the person's kind of like, the voice sounds familiar, and looks up and it's Luke Bryan. So, I mean, very cool. Luke Bryan pulls over to the side of the road, helps the person, does a selfie, gets a photo with them, and helps them out. So that was a good story. The other one, I started to write this down, but I don't know quite how to do this. But well, I know how to write. Oh, I closed it out. Bruno. The guy's name was like Bruno Johnson or something like that. And there was this 15-year-old kid who was living in Hawaii and had just got kicked out. Where he's at, they weren't paying rent. I couldn't. They didn't talk much about the other side of the family. Like if he was, it almost sounded like he may have been like living with some friends and they just couldn't afford the rent and he got kicked out. So his plan was to move back to Nashville and to move in with his dad. And as he's arrives at Nashville, gets out of the airport, there's this guy standing there to give him a ride. He probably has like his name on the sign. And as they're driving, he kind of realizes that he's not going to his dad's house. And he's like, "So where are we going?" And he's like, "Oh, well, we're going to where you're going to be staying at." And he's like, "Well, where's that?" He's like, "With Bruno." Bruno was like a wrestling manager and had taken in this kid. And I want to say almost like 9 years or so, he lived with Bruno. So, Bruno kind of saved him from being homeless, put him in it, allowed him to live with him, helped train him and everything. And recently, this 15-year-old kid decides to pay him back. Of course, not 15-year-old anymore, but decides he wants to pay back his buddy who saved him from being homeless. So he gives him this Ford F-150. And of course, this guy from Hawaii is some guy by the name of Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. So that was a really cool story. Happened earlier this year, but yeah, kind of repaying a debt. Somebody had his back, so Dwayne's got his back. And he even told the story about they said like there's this when The Rock was with Bruno, they ended up buying this car from this crackhead, and they're like, he's like, "Sell my car. Who wants it? $80 for this Thunderbird." I mean, this was a while ago, but still, $80 is like a steal. But I guess they didn't quite have the $80. So he's like, "I'll give you $40 for it today, and I'll come back tomorrow with the other 40." The guy's like, "Sure." And they said like they showed up the next day, and the guy never showed up again. So they got the car actually for $40. But so Bruno was following Dwayne home, and all of a sudden Dwayne pulls over the side of the road, and Bruno's like, "Oh great, the car you break down or something?" And apparently there was a guy in the back seat who jumped up like, "Hey, what's going on?" And Dwayne's like, "Hey, I just bought the car from your buddy. You need to get out." And he's like, "Oh, okay, let me get my stuff," and jumps out of the car. So when Dwayne Johnson gave him the car, he's like, "Here's the car. Don't worry, there's no crackheads in it." Yeah, really funny story. Yeah, two good stories. Both kind of featuring some bigger names. I mean, Luke Bryan and Dwayne Johnson. But what's some good news in your life? What's some good things that are happening to you? I'd love to hear those. Feel free to comment. Also, you can email me, RealKidKrazy@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at RealKidKrazy. And that's crazy with a K. RealKidKrazy. Well, I hope you guys all have the most amazing day. Have a tremendous week. We'll be back next week with more good news. And of course, we'll be back tomorrow for Paranormal Tuesday. Have a good day, everybody.